Hi, folks. I'm Mike, and I hope you're well. And welcome to another edition of Creative Studio Live, where we debate everything music and music production. And we'd love you to join in the chat as well. So if you're here, say hi, let us know where you are, and we will get to you later. But as ever, I am joined by my esteemed co-host, Pete Johns from Studio Live today. Hi, Pete. What's been happening in your world this week?
Mate, it's been a busy week. We've been talking amp sims. We've been talking loudness wars, YouTube channels, including your own. And I've been showing off my live streaming rig, which is a budget live streaming rig. But yeah, there's been lots of videos happening, lots of fun happening over here. How about Creative Source? I see some great videos coming out from your side of the world. What have you been doing?
I think you flatter me a little bit. I made a video this week about organizing your mix. It's not the most tantalizing subject, but you really should. I urge people to have a look, especially if you're starting out with your recording, because organizing your mix saves you heaps of time. But on with this show, I'm really, really excited about this show tonight because we've got a bit of a different format. For those of you who haven't been here before, normally myself and Pete do a little debate on whatever topic. We take a side each, 5 points each. But I don't have to debate tonight. I don't have to debate at all because we have a special guest, and that special guest goes by the name of Ricky T. Brown from Minerva Art. Am I saying it right? Minerva Artists. Hi, Ricky. How are you?
I'm good, thank you very much, buddy.
I must say, in the history of this show, if I might say, you are probably the best looking guest we've had so far.
Listen, if I could blush, I would.
Definitely the
So,
best
Ricky,
studio.
So, Ricky, I know you from a Facebook group. I was just saying my favorite Facebook group, and I've just upset loads of people. But Home Recording Studio Design, it's a newish sort of group, but it's growing very quickly. Lovely place. But obviously, you had a life before Home Recording Studio Zone. So I know about Minerva Artists. Tell us all about that and whether I'm pronouncing it properly.
Yeah, Minerva, as in the Greek goddess.
Oh, this is very highbrow already, Pete. We've got a highbrow guest.
She was the deity for music, so I thought it was quite apt for my activities. Minerva Artists, it's been, well, I first formed it in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
It was also a label at that time. Yeah, I gave that a go, and I'm not doing it again. Artists are a pain in the butt, trust me. So I wanted to focus more on, I guess, when you're talking about media composition, that kind of thing. It only relies on me, really. So I thought, yeah, I fancy some of that. I've dabbled with it in the past, but I really wanted to focus on some creative time in that genre.
Beautiful. So we should talk about, we should get
studio.
Stuck into that later. Now, hi to the folks who are saying hi in the chat. I see we've got Fiddling with My Whistle there, a new follower of mine. And Vajay from Recording Studio 9. Hi, guys. Nice to see you here. I think we're going to get stuck into this debate, and we will chat with Ricky a little bit later about his musical doings. Is that a word? Doings in this? But we're going to get stuck into this debate. Now, the debate this week is about whether music is best kept simple or whether it's better to have more interesting, complex music. Now, normally we flip a coin, but it's guest choice this week. So, Ricky, perhaps you could tell us which side of the debate you're going to be arguing on.
Well, I'll be arguing for keeping it simple.
Okay, I like that. Now, Pete, you're in the complex side of things, so I wish you luck with that one. I'll be scoring this week, of course, and if someone could just keep track of the scores, because I'll shout out the scores, you keep track of them. So, Fiddling with My Whistle, you could keep track of the scores.
You were talking last week. What's going on, mate?
So, and I'm going to get this debate underway, and I think I'm going to kick it off with Pete. Just a word of warning to Ricky, though. You know, I know you're over there in the UK, and Pete is Australian. So, just the Australians are known for a bit of cheating. I won't let that fly here. Okay, so I think you're far enough away to avoid any ball tampering, but you never know with these Aussies, so you should just watch out for that. Ricky, Pete, even I'll let you kick off and give us your first argument.
Well, I'm really glad that I've been given the complex side. The guy who records his songs on his iPhone in GarageBand gets why you should be complex in your music. So let's get into it. Let's start it. So I totally cheated. I talked to my family this evening and I said, hey, I've got to do this debate. So give me some ideas. And my daughter actually came up with something amazing. So this is why you have to vote for me, because this is a 9-year-old's opinion. I said to her, why does it need to be challenged? Why do you need to do complex music? And she said, people need to challenge themselves, Dad. If you played the same piece and if you played simple music for your whole life, you're never going to challenge yourself. And this is coming from someone who's just learning piano and starting to actually challenge herself as well. So I thought that was kind of good. And I'm going to start off with that, is that when you're starting out, if you're playing simple stuff, you're learning simple things. As you evolve and develop, if you continue to play simple things, are you really putting yourself to the test? Are you living up to your possible potential by keeping it simple? So, like I said, I'm starting with the child. Go with the sympathy vote early here.
My goodness, he's playing dirty already, Ricky. He's playing dirty already. I've got to give him a score here. And what's your daughter's name, Pete? If you don't mind, just the first name. Jasmine. Hi, Jasmine. Thanks for your input. So, all right. So I'm going to give you 1,560 points for that, Pete. And so, you're off to a pretty good start. Ricky's off to a good start. He used the child, vote there. So dirty right from the get-go. So, Ricky, tell us about why we should keep music simple.
Well, I gave this some thought, and I'm thinking, put an argument forward. It should be from a punter's point of view. So, I'd say, other than musicians, most people can only process music on a generalized level. So, that's why I guess it's the songs with a simpler construction. They seem to be the ones that sell the most.
Oh, okay. Ricky, you're a guest. So it's a good first point. If you could have at least said that, your child said it, but given that you're a guest, I'm going to give you exactly the same points. 1,560 points. We're on a draw here.
Okay.
So
wow. This is
So Pete, given that you've given it your best shot in your first one with your kid's idea, I'm hoping you can improve on as an actual adult here. So go for it, mate.
Oh, mate. I'm going to struggle because I do. Again, this is where. But if you're new to the show, we are arguing points of sides, and you'll find out at the end what we actually think. But I've probably given it away in my opening and intro anyway. Let's continue on with the whole challenging yourself mindset. And the other thing. So my daughter, I'm going to use my daughter again. I actually asked the 7-year-old, and she just looked at me blankly and said, Dad, your videos are boring. I don't care what you do. So what I did, I went back to the 9-year-old, and she said, she's learning about this in school. She's like, Dad, well, what it does is it helps enhance your growth mindset. And I said, the fact that you know the words growth mindset, I don't even know what that means. So she had to explain it to me. So she sat me down and said, well, what it does is it helps you improve and grow and learn. So she said, if you're not learning, then you're not developing, and then you're not. So yes, I use the same exact point twice. I just worded it differently, but that's what you do in debating. Yeah, you say the same thing multiple times with slightly different words than you hope to do. But I just wanted to say the words growth mindset and sound really intelligent. So if you want to have growth mindset, complex music is the way to do it.
I just want to remind you, Pete, we actually do have viewers here, and they need to be kept interested in the show. Just a little reminder. But good. Look, that was a really, really good point made by your daughter again. So I'm giving, there's some adjustments here. I'm giving 60 points for the point itself, but minus 1,500 points because you've used your daughter twice. I couldn't let you do that. So I don't know what the maths is here. Fiddling with my whistle should be keeping track, I'm hoping. Otherwise, it looks like Pete's somewhere near zero. You know, Ricky, please save us here. Save us. Pete's got nothing. Pete's got nothing. Mention the Beatles or something.
My second point would be, well, think about it. We've all been there. There's that tune that gets into your head. You may have only heard 8 bars of it, but after that, you'll be hearing it in your head for the whole day. Yeah. And the main reason for that is because the melody of that song is really simple. And then, of course, when you've got tracks with simple beats, rhythms, they tend to be the ones that people lock onto in more numbers, you know, statistically speaking. You know, if you were going to look at the top 40 and what all those tracks have in common, it's that horrible element of staying in your head all day once you've heard it once. So keeping it simple.
Keeping it simple. A bit like football songs, you know, like the crowd chants. What's that? There's a really rubbish football team. What are they called? Liverpool.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I happened to browse your profile today, Ricky, so I'm taunting you. Congratulations on your win over Barcelona, was it? What's their biggest song? Liverpool. What do they sing? The crowd.
Mo Salah. Mo Salah, Mo Salah, riding down the wing.
Okay, I didn't know that one before. I must admit, I thought it was "You'll Never Walk Alone" or something like that. But oh well.
Well, that's the traditional one. But the ones that the fans chant during the match, it'd be the Mo Salah song. That's the one.
A quick note for our American friends: they're talking about soccer. In case
sorry, our American friends. Yes, we've gone off to soccer. Things can only get worse if we start talking about cricket, I suppose. So, good point there. I like it, Ricky. Things that are simple, they're like, what do they call them? Brain worms. They get in your head and they just won't leave. So that's 2,569 points there for Ricky on that one. That's 2,569.
That's a new record on a single question, I'm sure. That's got to be up there.
It is. Now, Pete, please, I'm begging you, please, nothing from your daughters, okay, for your third point, please.
All right, so let's bring it home. So I'm glad you talked about the simple songs. And yes, whilst we'd all like to hear Daft Punk go around the world, around the world, around the world over and over again, there's only so much of that we can take. What we want is something that's more thought-provoking, something that has some subtleties, some intricacies that can keep a listener engaged. So it often helps because you can listen to a banger, you can listen to an anthem, you can listen to a song that's got 3 chords, and when you hear it the second time and the third time, apart from it being in your head and getting really annoyed, you're not really going to go back to it. Like, how many times do you go back to that anthem from, I don't even know when, from 1993? You're like, oh, yeah, I heard that song, but I know that song. I don't need to hear it ever again. The more thought-provoking songs are those that actually have that subtleties. They've got that depth that can keep you engaged so that when you go back, you listen the second time, you're like, ooh, I didn't hear that tambourine on the second verse. That's what complexity adds. It's not just about your CFG, it's about your A sharp minor diminished seventh. So there's my third point.
Okay, good third point. I'll actually give you a 500 points for that because it was actually a decent point. It wasn't made by a minor.
It was actually thought up by me.
It was good. It was good. We've got somebody mentioning. I'm going to take a little bit of a side here, Ricky. Somebody's mentioned "We Will Rock You." I was thinking about this myself on this topic today because Queen, you know, they were obviously very accomplished musicians, you know, all of them. But didn't feel the need to do that all the time. I think someone's mentioned "We Will Rock You" in the chat. Lon the composer, good day, Lon the composer, is, you know, mentioned that song. I was thinking of another one, "Bites the Dust." Dum 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 ba-dum bum. But you're a bass player, are you, Ricky? I see you holding your bass in some of your pictures.
Yes,
that's not a difficult. Yeah, it's not a difficult bass line to play, is it? It's a very easy bass line to play.
The Chic Good Times bass line, isn't it?
Exactly right. Yeah, exactly. So, keep it simple. I think that there's some wonderful examples in the chat there. Although, I suppose from a musician's point of view, it's nice to be stimulated once in a while. Not that I'm in the debate or anything. It's Ricky's turn. Point number 3, I think, Ricky, is it? We're on to now.
Point number 3.
Yeah.
Well, let me start off by responding to the last item. Yeah, I think from a complexity and keeping it interesting point of view, I think that's really a musician's perspective rather than a punter's perspective. Because see, we tend to justify what we do by quite a lot of the time we actually ignore what it is that switches on the punters. You see, so I would counter what you said with that. My third point is if you want to get people to dance, man, you've got to keep it simple. Now, if you think about anything that people will dance to, it usually resolves to fall on the floor, and you can't get much simpler than that. But it works every time.
It's true, but I've got to say that there's not a lot of people want to see me dance. So, I guess that's why I hear a lot of complex music when I'm out and about. That's a good point. I like it. Ricky, I'm going to award you a solid 10,000 points on that one. Really nice. I like it. I've no idea what the scores are, but
I'm way behind. That's all.
I think 10,000 seems fair for the dancing, fall on the floor business. And Ricky mentioned punters there. He said it's about the punters. Now, for American people, I don't think they use the word punters. That means the customers, the listeners. And it brought me, I was thinking about this today. Ricky, is it a kick drum or a bass drum?
I tend to say bass drum.
Yeah, it's a bass drum, isn't it? And is it a plectrum? A plectrum or a pick?
Plectrum.
Plectrum. Right. There you go. Another 15,000 bonus points for Ricky there for getting the pronunciation correct for musical terms. Rick, Pete, back to you, mate, for your fourth point that you want.
I feel I'm losing badly when you're even calling me by your guest name. So I'm in trouble. And as I hit my microphone for the 7th time this stream. So yeah, I'm looking at the rest of my points here going that like Ricky's owning me here because I'm like, yes, my last 2 points are the pretentious wanky musician points as well. Because let's be honest, most people that like complex music are
no wanky on my show, okay?
Well, you're the one you've been talking about it all night. So what can you do? So who here likes the rock band Muse? Like one of the best rock bands going around, in my view. Anyone with me?
Yep. Yeah, I'll go with you on that. Yep.
Yeah. Ricky, fan of Muse? Like the band?
The Muse.
Muse, the band Muse. Fan? Yeah.
You know what? I have not heard their music yet.
Got to get into Muse. Muse are outstanding and they are an epic rock band. So for those who are fans of Muse, what they bring to that sound, you listen to it and on the surface you think guitars, screaming vocals, lots of rockin' sounds, but it's what they put underneath that. It's what they fill out the mix with. So it's the layers of the synth sounds. Who doesn't like synths? I see a lot of outboard gear in your background there, Ricky. You clearly like to play with some dials and knobs. And again, Mike, stop, don't go there. Dials and knobs on his gear, his equipment. You must say.
You know the way I think.
I know. I have to cut you off before you make the classic Dublin.
I admit it. I'm a gear slut. Okay.
There you go. Yeah. So how cool is a great rock song? Well, it can only be made better by layering it. And look, let's look at, you've talked about Queen, you've talked about Beatles, you've talked about these simple bands, but think about some of the things that they did as a revolutionary and what you would consider complex things they did with cutting tape, with splitting tape, with reversing, with doing all the things. They were on 4 tracks and they still managed to create these masterpieces of ultimate complexity that still hold up today as some of the best music going around. So if you want to fill out your mix, if you want to add some flavor and some spice, surely a bit of complexity is going to help your sound.
Okay. Mr. Johns, you're a bit sneaky there, and I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you some points here just for the cleverness of that, because you managed to turn 4-track recording into an argument for complexity, which was wonderful and bizarre all at the same time. So I'm going to give you a good solid 5,500 points for that.
Oh, it's
nice. Well, good point. Well made. Now
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah, he did. Now, Ricky, he did mention your knobs there, and I've enjoyed looking at your knobs this evening. But is that your sort of home studio, or do you have a studio outside your home? What's the deal there? You've got
my studio is set up in my home.
Mm.
It's the overheads are a lot lower. Plus the way that I've set it up, because I've recently refurbished it, and I've got it just right for me, so I don't have to make any considerations for having loads of people in here, because the kind of music I'm working on is really about me. So having the knobs and sliders all over the place, yeah, I like it. That's where
I've seen a few photos of your studio in the past on the group, and when I'm looking at studios, I always look at what's the centerpiece. Is there a mixing desk in the center, or is it a keyboard in the center? And for me, from memory, you're prioritizing the keyboard. Is it more about composition for you and writing, or what's the deal
there? I mean, to be honest, if I had the choice, I would definitely have a big board, big mixer in my studio. But given that I've got limited space, I suppose it was a case of prioritizing. I'm primarily a keyboard player, as you can see.
The few keyboards.
And for me, if the genre that I'm working in relies a lot of inputting from a keyboard, so it made sense to orient it that way. But in previous setups, I've had big boards in here, but there wasn't much room for anything else. So
Very cool. Now, I should mention that I've put some links in the description to some of Ricky's tracks, his produced tracks. So I encourage you to go along to SoundCloud and have a listen to those. I enjoyed listening to them yesterday, Ricky. Good stuff. Really nice production on them. So I enjoyed that immensely. So check those out, and do check out the Facebook group that I've mentioned a couple of times before, Home Recording Studio Zone, which Ricky is an admin of. But I don't want to upset anyone over there, but he feels like kind of the main man at times. He spends a lot of time there, and he's always really, really helpful in there to people who've got newbie questions and all that kind of thing. So if you're a noob and you're new to all this stuff, definitely get in there. And I find the community in there is a really nice community. Some of the communities, they don't treat noobs so well, but that one's really, really good. And I enjoy it there. Even Pete Johns joined fairly recently. And made himself known.
I was actually, I was pretty impressed, because you've mentioned, they'll remain nameless. You've mentioned one or two, Ricky, but there's some groups and there's some forums and there's some places where you go in there and you say, "Hey, I'm new and I have a question that has maybe been asked once before ever," and someone's like, "Oh, you didn't check the archives from 2014," when someone clearly asked exactly the same question. So go away. And that's a very censored version of that. But no, home recording studio zone. I've went in there, I asked a couple of questions, I shared some things about my 4-track, funnily enough, and just got some great people with some great suggestions and amazing information. And someone gave me resources for parts for my Yamaha 4-track, which I couldn't find. No one has ever found. And he's like, "Yeah, just go here, look, check out this, here's the belt you need," and sends me a link. So yes, amazing group of people. And when you have a big group that's like 14,000 or something there, Ricky,
nearly 15.
To have that many people and to have a relatively troll-free zone, never completely troll-free in all these groups, but clearly a very strong admin and mod team there that are keeping things clean and really useful and great information. So good job.
Now that brings us towards
the way that when we set out with HRSZ, one of the first things that we wanted to achieve was to offer something a little bit different, because as you said, Mike, that I won't mention their names, but some of these groups can be a really hostile environment for people, especially those that are new to the whole thing. And I've been in the music game for a long time, and I felt that was a great opportunity to actually share knowledge and show people how to do things the right way. But the right way, there isn't just one right way. There's lots of different ones. As far as the members go, they're a great bunch on there. I mean, sometimes we need to use the Thanos gauntlet, but not very often.
Love it.
Now, Ricky, we've got only a little bit of time left, and you've still got your fifth point to make. So I'm expecting you've left your best point till last, of course, as tradition. So go for us. Hit us with number 5.
Okay. Well, I was given the brief on this debate, and I wanted to get some source data, and I read an article where some analysis was being done on Max Martin. Have you heard of him?
No.
Songwriter.
All right. Okay.
Well, he's had 22 number ones with Britney Spears, Katy Perry, Taylor Swift, and what they developed an algorithm that can actually work out why those songs were as successful as they were, and it was basically 5 different categories. The first one is a short and unique, memorable intros. Simple. Most of the songs hitting the chorus within 30 seconds. The average BPM, 114 BPM. Linguistically, using simple lyrics tended to add to the popularity of whatever song they were employed on, and adding new sounds to the arrangement, gradually limiting the total amount as to not overload the listener with too many things to listen to. So to summarize, basically what they're saying is that songwriter, who must be loaded, has found a simple formula by which he can have commercial success. And as a musician, if you find that perfect formula, I think it's a trade-off, really, isn't it? I mean, there's artistic fulfillment, and then there's commercial success. Which do you go for? But keeping it simple is the key.
That's a fantastic final point, Ricky, and I thank you so much for bringing a level of intellect to the show, actually, by actually doing some research rather than just asking some minors that happen to be kicking around. Well, what shall I say in the debate? You've actually taken some time, and I feel that you've put some effort into this show tonight, and for your final point, I think I'm going to have to give you 169,000 points for that one. So I don't know what the final tally was, but obviously we do have a winner, and it is, of course, Ricky T. Brown, our special guest tonight. Now,
you know what you've done, Mike? You've actually got my last point. So yeah, I knew that you could do this. Yeah,
you started first, didn't you?
I did, didn't I? But I think.
Yeah. How have we managed that?
I had 5 points, and I've said 4.
Whatever.
You know what?
Whatever.
You know what my last one was? I'm not going to even make my last point, but let me say this one thing. The song that Ricky was describing there, "Hit Me Baby One More Time" by Britney Spears. I'm just going to mic drop and just walk out on that final point.
Now, I should explain to anyone watching that, of course, this is a slightly artificial debate, and we've asked the guys to take sides. I'm guessing that being men of great intellect and of good opinion, that you see shades of grey in this matter. So I'm going to go over to Pete first. Pete, what's your real opinion?
My real opinion is my philosophy on music these days is you do you, horses for courses, insert cliche here, but it is that, yes, variety is indeed the spice of life. I've written songs that are 4 chords and 4 tracks, and I've written songs that are 32 tracks and highly complex. And the music I love can be the anthems and the songs that have the simple structures. I do love a good hook. I do love a good chorus. I also love, I do love a classical masterpiece that's got the whole orchestra doing its thing. So yes, it can be whatever you want it to be. Don't limit yourself, but be creative. And again, I think Ricky's great points here were that music is about you and what you want to do, but it's also about the people you're sharing it with, because art is not art until you share it with someone else. There you go.
Good point there. If that had been in the actual contest, I would have awarded you like 500,000 points for that, but it wasn't in the contest. But Ricky, what say you on this outside of
I really think I would refute almost all of it. The reason why I say that is because when I first got into music, and then you've got the whole fairy tale, the dream. Oh, get signed up. Oh, loads of hits, loads of money. But over time, I've learned that, well, no, that's not the reason why I'm doing it. I'm doing it for personal artistic fulfillment, if you like. And I'm not challenged by simple forms of music. And I mean, for a start, I play jazz, so I'll be barking up the wrong tree if I was doing that and expecting to be financially sound because of it. But personally, I'm a bit of a genre hopper. I hope the tracks that I sent you, Mike, there was a mixture of things there. So I just wanted to show you that. Well, that's what I'm about musically. Is that music is a sweet shop. And those old style sweet shops that had all the jars, and you can go in and take any flavour you want, and that's how I see it. So I'm not to be limited to one thing. And by doing that, that's improved me as a musician. So complex is good. It makes you better.
Good point. I'm going to just going to give a little bit of my opinion. I agree with both of you. You've both stated it really, really well. I do think ultimately that music is an emotional experience. However, I kind of feel that if you learn your trade better and better, and that can be with more complexity at times, that it gives you a greater toolbox with which to affect people's emotions with, So I think there's definitely room for complexity. My only thing is I'm going to upset a few people by mentioning shredders. It doesn't do anything for me, shredding on the guitar. Just leaves me feeling nothing at all. Now, it may do something for some other people, but I can't help but feel that it's a bit of not an intellectual, but just a kind of almost like a statistical exercise of how many notes you can get into a second. I will say one thing. I had an interesting experience. I went to see Tommy Emmanuel 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm not sure if you're aware of Tommy Emmanuel, Ricky. Australian guitarist, one of the best guitarists in the world. Very, very talented and complex guitar player, does an amazing stuff. But anyway, at the show, he brought out Hank Marvin as a special guest on the show. And I was like, bloody hell, it's Hank Marvin. And I thought about Hank Marvin. I thought he's so famous, isn't he, for like Apache. How's it go? I better not sing it. We'll get a copyright strike. But you know how I've put it in your heads, guys. And he was very, very famous for very, very simple melodies that almost any of us could play on the guitar. Now, when he came out and played with Tommy Emmanuel, I was blown away by Hank Marvin and what he could do with a guitar. It was phenomenal. But I have to say, never would have got famous for what he did during that show in a million years. I enjoyed it tremendously. And, like the guy's got much more credibility for me than he had previously. But good on him for creating some simple music as well that people can digest easily and just enjoy. And that's what I've got to say on that matter. I've really enjoyed this show, Ricky. You're awesome.
Me too. Thank you.
Enjoyed having you on tremendously, and I'm very sure that we will want to have you back again at some time. You're a good contributor. It's nice, as I say, to have someone with intellect on the show. Pete, you gave it your best effort.
I had a crack, and I'm a bit concerned that Ricky has set the bar high now that we have to now actually do research, Mike. And I'm saying this to you as well as me. We have to get quotes and sources. Like, he's got people. It's like high school all over again. We're going to have to step it up a notch, because you and I are just like, we just think a few things and we go with our guts. So, yes, thank you, Ricky. It's been amazing having you on the show here. And get over to Home Studio Recording Zone and check out Ricky's music. All that's in the description and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely. Now, next week's show will be hosted on Pete's channel. So for the people looking from my channel, I encourage you to look in the description and subscribe to Pete's channel so that you'll get notifications about our debate next week. We haven't decided on the topic, but I'm sure it will be something controversial and something to make the old brain work a little bit, Pete.
I think you should go to Home Recording Studio Zone and throw it out there, Mike. I think we should get some feedback from the group there and say, what should we be talking about?
Good one. I like your angle. Again, thank you very much, Ricky. We will be closing off now. Thanks everyone in the comments. I've enjoyed watching your comments. And if anyone's watching on the rebroadcast, then please do leave comments down below and we'll try and get to you there and answer any questions you've got. But thanks very much, guys. Say goodbye and we will be out.
See you, folks. Take care.
Take care.